Hello and welcome to Read and Learn English. Today's story will help you improve your English through a deep and emotional journey. As you listen, you will learn useful vocabulary, natural sentence patterns, and everyday expressions. But more importantly, this story may help you think about your own life, your choices, and the chances you did not take. My name is Anil. I am 32 years old, and I work in a small office. I live alone in a quiet apartment, and my life is simple. Every morning, I wake up at the same time, drink my tea, and go to work. I do the same tasks every day. I come home, eat dinner, and sleep. Then the next day, everything repeats again. People think I'm calm and happy. They say I'm easy to work with. They say I never cause problems. And maybe they are right. But they don't know what I carry inside. There's a feeling in my chest that never really goes away. It is not loud. It does not shout. It is quiet, but heavy. It feels like something I lost, or maybe something I never had. Sometimes, at night, when everything is silent, I think about my past. I think about the moments when I had a chance to speak, but I stayed quiet. And there is one memory that always comes back to me. Her name is Kavya. I met Kavya when I was in my early 20s. At that time, I had just started my first job. I joined a small training program, and she was there too. The first time I saw her, she was laughing with someone. Her laugh was warm and natural. It made the whole room feel lighter. I remember thinking, she looks like someone who is not afraid of life. We became friends slowly. At first, we just talked about simple things, work, food, daily life. But over time, our conversations became deeper. Kavya liked to talk. She shared her dreams, her plans, and even her fears. She wanted to travel, try new things, and build a life that felt meaningful. I was different. I listened more than I spoke. I always had thoughts in my mind, but I didn't know how to say them. Or maybe I was just afraid. But Kavya never made me feel uncomfortable. In fact, she made me feel safe. One day, she looked at me and said, "Anil, you think a lot, don't you? I can see it in your eyes." I felt surprised. No one had said that to me before. She smiled and added, "You should speak more. Your thoughts are important." That moment stayed with me. It was a small thing, but it meant a lot. After that, we spent more time together. We had lunch almost every day. Sometimes we walked after work. We talked about our lives, our families, and our hopes. For the first time, I felt like someone truly understood me. And slowly, without planning it, I started to fall in love with her. It was not a sudden feeling. It grew quietly, day by day. I felt happy when I saw her. I looked forward to our conversations. When she smiled at me, my whole day felt better. Many times I wanted to tell her the truth. I wanted to say, "Kavya, I like you. I want to be more than your friend." But every time I thought about saying those words, fear stopped me. I asked myself, what if she doesn't feel the same? Then another thought came, what if I lose her completely? That fear was too strong, so I stayed silent. I told myself, maybe later, maybe tomorrow. But tomorrow kept moving further away. One evening we were walking in a quiet park. The sky was soft and orange, and the air felt calm. It was a perfect moment. Kavya looked at me and said, "You know, Anil, I feel very comfortable with you. I can be myself." My heart started beating faster. I felt it. This was the moment. I could say everything. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. I smiled and said, "Me too." That was all. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept asking myself, why didn't I say it? But deep inside, I already knew the answer. I was afraid. Time passed, and things began to change. One day, Kavya told me something that shook me. "I got a new job in another city," she said. She looked happy, but I could see a little sadness in her eyes. "I will move next month." In that moment, I felt like the ground under me disappeared. I knew this was my last chance. If I didn't speak now, I might never see her again. We sat together quietly. She looked at me, waiting. I could feel the words inside me again. But just like before, fear stopped me. I forced a smile and said, "That's great, Kavya. I'm really happy for you." She smiled back, but it felt different this time, like she was expecting something more. But I gave her nothing. A few weeks later, she left. At first, we stayed in touch. We sent messages, shared small updates, and talked about our new routines. But slowly, the messages became fewer, shorter. And then, they stopped. Life moved on. Years passed. And one day, I saw something that made my heart feel heavy. It was a wedding photo. Kavya was standing beside another man, smiling brightly. She looked truly happy. I stared at that photo for a long time. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel jealous. I felt something else. Regret. Not because she found happiness, but because I never even tried. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, with one question repeating in my mind again and again. What if I had said something? And I didn't know it yet. But that question was only the beginning of a much bigger truth about my life. That night, I could not sleep. I turned in my bed again and again, but my mind would not rest. The image of Kavya's wedding stayed in my head. Her smile looked real, peaceful, full of life. And I kept asking myself the same question. What if I had said something? At first, I tried to push the thought away. I told myself, it's too late now. It doesn't matter anymore. But deep inside, I knew that was not true. It did matter, because that one moment, that one silence, had changed something inside me. The next morning, I went to work like always. I sat at my desk, opened my computer, and started my tasks. But something felt different. For the first time, I looked around and asked myself, is this really the life I want? The question surprised me. I had never asked myself that before. I always told myself that my life was fine, safe, stable. But now it didn't feel enough. That day, during a meeting, my manager asked if anyone had ideas for a new project. I actually had one. A simple idea, but I believed it could help. My heart started beating faster. This is your chance, I thought. I wanted to raise my hand. But then, the same old fear came back. What if they don't like it? What if I sound stupid? So I stayed quiet. Someone else spoke. The meeting moved on, and my idea stayed inside me. Later, I sat at my desk, feeling a familiar heaviness in my chest. It was the same feeling I had with Kavya. Silence, missed chance, regret. And suddenly I realized something that made me uncomfortable. This was not just about love. This was my pattern. I stayed silent in many parts of my life. I didn't speak in meetings. I didn't share my ideas. I didn't try new things. I stayed in my job, even though I didn't enjoy it, because it felt safe. I avoided change because it scared me. And slowly, without noticing, I built a life where nothing really moved forward. That evening, I walked home more slowly than usual. The streets were busy. People were talking, laughing, living their lives. But I felt stuck. When I reached my apartment, I didn't turn on the television. I just sat in silence for a long time. Then I said something quietly, almost like a whisper. What am I doing with my life? The question felt heavy, but also honest. That night, I couldn't ignore my thoughts anymore. Memories started coming back to me, not just about Kavya, but about many moments. I remembered a time when my friend invited me to join a small business idea. He was excited and full of energy. "You should try, Anil," he said. "You are smart. We can build something together." I wanted to say yes, but I was afraid of failure. So I said, maybe later. That later never came. I remembered another time when my manager asked if I wanted a new role in the company. It was more challenging, but also more interesting. "You can grow in this role," he told me. But I thought, what if I can't do it well? So I refused and stayed where I was, safe, but stuck. One by one, these memories came back, each one small, but together they felt big, like pieces of a life I never lived. I stood up and walked to a small shelf in my room. There was a box there, full of old things I never used anymore. I opened it slowly. Inside, I found old papers, photos, and notebooks. One notebook caught my attention. It was old and a little dusty. I sat down and opened it. As I turned the pages, I realized something. This was my notebook from years ago, from a time when I still had clear dreams. I started reading. I want to build something meaningful. I want to travel to new places. I want to become confident and speak my thoughts clearly. I stopped reading. My chest felt tight. These words, they didn't feel like me anymore. They felt like someone else. A younger version of me. A version that believed in something more. I held the notebook in my hands and sat in silence. Then I asked myself a question that scared me. When did I change? I didn't have a clear answer. It didn't happen in one moment. It happened slowly. Through small fears, small silences, small decisions to stay safe. And now I was here, living a life that felt incomplete. I looked at the notebook again, and for the first time in many years, I felt something new. Not regret, not fear, something else. A quiet discomfort, mixed with a small spark. A thought began to form in my mind. What if I can still change something? The idea felt strange, almost impossible. But it didn't go away. I closed the notebook slowly, but my mind stayed open. That night, I didn't sleep quickly. But this time, it was not only because of regret. It was because a new question had started to grow inside me. Not, what if I had spoken before? But something different, something more powerful. What if I speak now? And that question was about to change everything. The question stayed in my mind the whole night. What if I speak now? It sounded simple, just a few words, but for me, it felt big, almost frightening. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. I sat on my bed and looked at my phone. My fingers felt a little cold. There was someone I had not spoken to in a long time. My old friend, Rohan. He was the one who once invited me to start a small business with him. I still remembered his energy, his belief in me. I opened our old messages. The last one was from him, years ago. "Let me know if you change your mind." I never replied. I stared at the screen for a long time. "This is your chance," I told myself. My heart was beating fast again, just like all those moments before. I could feel the fear coming back. What if he ignores me? What if it's too late? But then another thought came. It was already too late because I said nothing. I took a deep breath and typed a message. "Hi, Rohan. I know it's been a long time. I'm sorry I never replied before. I was afraid, but I've been thinking. Are you still working on your ideas?" I looked at the message again and again. Then I closed my eyes. and pressed send. For a second, I felt scared, but then something unexpected happened. I felt lighter. It was a small action, but it felt different. For the first time in a long time. I didn't stay silent. I went to work that day with a strange feeling inside me. It was not full confidence. It was not strong courage, but it was movement. During the afternoon, we had another team meeting. My manager asked again, "Does anyone have ideas for improving our process?" My hands felt warm. My heart started beating faster. The same moment, the same choice. But this time, something inside me was different. I remembered my message to Rohan. I remembered the notebook, and I thought, if I stay silent again, nothing will change. Before I could stop myself, I raised my hand. My voice was not strong. It was a little shaky. I have an idea, I said. Everyone looked at me. For a moment, I felt nervous, but I continued. I explained my idea slowly. Simple words, clear sentences. When I finished, the room was quiet for a second. Then my manager nodded. "That's a good point, Anil," he said. "We can try that." Just like that. No one laughed. No one judged me. The world did not break. I sat there, surprised. It was such a small moment, but it felt big inside me. Later that day, I checked my phone. There was a new message. From Rohan. "Anil, I can't believe it's you. Of course I remember you, and yes, I'm still working on new ideas. Let's talk." I read the message again, and again. A small smile appeared on my face. It wasn't too late. At least, not for everything. That evening, I didn't go straight home. I walked slowly through the streets, looking at the people around me. Everything looked the same. But I felt different. For years, I believed that silence was safe. But now I started to see something clearly. Silence had a cost, a hidden cost. It took away chances. It took away growth. It took away parts of my life. Little by little. And I didn't want that anymore. That night, I sat down with my old notebook again. This time, I didn't just read it. I picked up a pen. My hand felt a little unsure at first, but then I started writing. I want to try again. I want to speak, even if I feel afraid. I want to live without always asking what if. I stopped for a moment and looked at the page. These were not big goals. They were simple, but they felt real. For the first time in many years, I felt like I was talking to myself honestly. Days passed, and I kept taking small steps. I spoke more in meetings. I shared my thoughts, even when I felt nervous. I started talking again with old friends, and every time I did something new, something small inside me changed. The fear didn't disappear. It was still there, but it was not controlling me anymore. Then one evening, Rohan and I had a long call. He told me about his work, his ideas, and his plans. "You should join me, Anil," he said again, just like before. "We can build something together." This time, I didn't answer immediately. I looked around my small apartment. Everything felt familiar, safe, but also limited. I knew this decision was important. If I said yes, my life would change. If I said no, everything would stay the same. My heart was beating fast. Fear was there, but something else was there too. A quiet courage. I took a deep breath, and I was about to answer him. I sat in silence after Rohan said those words. "You should join me, Anil. We can build something together." His voice was full of energy, just like before. The same hope, the same belief. But this time, I was not the same person who had ignored that message years ago. I looked around my small apartment. The same walls, the same quiet space, the same routine life that I had lived for so long. Safe, but small. My heart was beating fast. I could feel fear sitting next to me again, like an old habit that never fully leaves. What if I fail? I thought. What if I make a mistake? But then another voice came, quieter but stronger than before. What if nothing changes, Doko, if you don't try? That question stayed in my mind. Not what if I fail, but what if I never move forward? I closed my eyes for a moment, and I thought about everything. Kavya, my silence, my missed chances, my old notebook. All the times I said maybe later. All the times later never came. When I opened my eyes again, something inside me felt clear. I picked up the phone. My hands were steady this time, and I said the words I never thought I would say. Yes, Rohan, I will join you. There was a short silence on the other side. Then he laughed. I was waiting for you to say that, he said warmly. In that moment, something inside me softened. Not excitement, not success, but relief. A deep, quiet relief. Like I had finally stepped out of a room I had been trapped in for years. The next few weeks were not easy. Change never is. I had to learn new things. I had to take risks. I made mistakes. I felt nervous many times. But something was different now. I did not run away when I felt afraid. I stayed. I tried. I spoke. I learned. At work, I eventually handed in my resignation. My manager looked surprised. You are doing well here, he said. Are you sure? For a moment, I hesitated. The old Anil would have stopped here. But I remembered everything I had gone through. And I simply said, yes, I need to try something new. Walking out of that office for the last time felt strange, but not painful. It felt like opening a door, not closing one. Months passed. I started working with Rohan on a small project. It was not perfect. There were challenges every day. Sometimes I doubted myself. Sometimes I felt lost. But I also felt something I had not felt in a long time. Growth. One evening, after a long day of work, I sat alone and thought about my life. I still thought about Kavya sometimes, not with sadness anymore, but with understanding. If I had spoken back then, maybe things would have been different. Or maybe not. I would never know. But I finally understood something important. My life did not end because of what I lost. It was shaped by what I did not try. And that realization no longer hurt me the way it used to. It guided me. One day, while organizing old things, I found my notebook again. The same one. The pages were still there. The dreams were still written. But now I added something new at the end. I am not that afraid person anymore. I am learning to speak. I am learning to try. I closed the notebook and smiled quietly, because for the first time, I felt like I was becoming the person I once wanted to be. Not perfect, not fearless, but honest, and moving forward. If there is one thing I learned from my life, it is this. Regret does not come from failure. It comes from silence, from the moments we choose fear over action. And I lived that truth for many years. But I also learned something else. It is never too late to change your story. Not all at once, but step by step, word by word, choice by choice. Now it's time to learn some useful vocabulary from today's story. Regret means a sad feeling about something you did or did not do in the past. Example: I felt regret for not speaking earlier. Opportunity means a chance to do something important or helpful. Example: he missed an opportunity to share his idea. Fear means a strong feeling of being scared or worried. Example: fear stopped me from speaking. Courage means the ability to do something even when you are afraid. Example: It takes courage to start something new. Silence means not speaking or not saying anything. Example: my silence cost me many chances. Now let's do some shadowing practice. I stayed silent for too long. I was afraid to speak my mind. I missed many chances in my life. But I decided to change. I am not the same person anymore. I am learning to take risks. I will not let fear control me. It is never too late to start again. Thank you for listening to this story on Read and Learn English. Now I have a few questions for you. Have you ever stayed silent when you wanted to speak? Do you think fear has ever stopped you from trying something new? What would you change if you could start again today? Write your answers in the comments. I would love to read them. Take care. Keep learning and keep improving your English every day. Goodbye, and see you in the next story.